Warning: the following video might contain content that might not be suitable for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. I used to be fascinated with NES games. I play all the classics using emulators. I never knew at the time that it was illegal to download NES ROMs online and play them with an emulator. But when I found out that they were, I started to make up for it. I bought myself a NES from eBay along with all the games I shamelessly pirated. These games included The Legend of Zelda, Metroid, Mega Man 2, Up Docs, Felix the Cat, McKids, DuckTales, and most importantly, Super Mario Bros., along with 2 and 3. Once I brought them, I played them on the NES just for fun, and for I already had emulators. I tried them all. First I played Metroid, then Apodox, then Super Mario Bros., then the rest of the games. I never completed them, I just wanted to be sure that they were working. I tried playing them on a console with a real controller rather than on a PC with a keyboard. A while later, I started to play Super Mario Bros. On a console. The game played well. I got to World 2-3 before I put the controller down and stopped playing because I just wanted to take a break. If you're being a smart guy, I turned off the console instead of leaving it on to play it later. I felt stupid when I did, but it didn't matter. It didn't take all that long to get to World 2-3, so I decided to take a break and get some homework done and play it again later and play it later. I forgot about it until the next day. When I woke up next morning, I remembered that I was gonna play the game again. I grabbed some coffee, turned on the game, and began playing. When I hit the start button and started to play, there were no enemies. I turned the game off, blew into the cartridge, and put it back in. But when I started playing, there still were no enemies. I was mad and thought that I broke the game. I kept playing just to see what would happen and to see if it would crash or not. I got to the flagpole, and there was no flag on it. It was just a pole. Mario grabbed it and didn't slide down. He just jumped off and went into the end castle. At this point, I expected the game to crash, but it kept playing, and it brought me to World 1-2. World 1-2 was the same, but it was underwater. I was worried when I saw it, but at the same time, could have been a problem with the cartridge, so I kept on playing to see what would happen. The gameplay was blocked off with seaweed at this point. I was confused. It looked almost like somebody put the seaweed there purposely, but this was a cartridge and the game worked fine before. There was a springboard there, and by fiddling around with it, I used to get me over the breaks into the warp zone. The springboard being there somewhat freaked me out, but it only hit me that something was drastically wrong when I decided to try going to the warp zone, and it brought me there. But instead of it saying welcome to warp zone, it read go to world 0. The left and right pipe looked like they were going to bring me to a world called World 0, and the middle pipe looked like it was going to bring me to World 4. I was scared. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I took a picture of it to prove that I was really seeing this. It shocked me unbelievably just because I knew something like this couldn't happen. I could have just turned off or even unplugged the console if I wanted to. But instead, I went to World 4. The level was 4-1 and it had a night theme to it. I actually wasn't there. I clicked the level and went to World 4-2. World 4-2 looked like it was underground, but it had a weird daytime theme set to it. There was once again no enemies. I continued only to find that part of the level was blocked off by a pipe, so I went to the secret warp zone, and once again it said go to World 0. I defied the text again and went to World 8. World 8 had a snowy underground theme. It looked like it was trying to be creepy, but still. I pressed on. The level was filled with floating bloopers like the ones found in the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2, along with some other enemies. I dodged them and went to World 8-2. It was the same thing. Night snow theme, underground music, and floating bloopers. I claimed the level and went to 8-3, World 8-3. It was the same thing. I continued to 8-4 and finally change of scenario. It was the original 8-4 castle. All the enemies were floating bloopers. I beat the level and the final message came up. Don't pirate games. I want to steal from you. I froze in fear for nearly a full minute. I couldn't believe what I just saw. Apparently, this entire game was a warning telling me to not pirate games, but after realizing that, I was baffled. How could this happen? I said out loud to myself. How could a game change itself to warn me about pirating Nintendo games? How could it know that I pirated the games in the first place? I already made up for my mistake by purchasing the real game, so why? Why did this happen? That's something I couldn't figure out. But it gets worse. After restarting the game, it didn't change. There were still no enemies in 1-1. It was still underwater in World 1-2, and so on. Once I figured out this mystery, I called my friend who knows a lot about NES games. He was good at dumping Nintendo ROMs straight from the cartridges. I would just ask to play the games on his NES before downloading the ROMs to my PC. But remember, I didn't know at the time that downloading NES ROMs from the internet was illegal. I gave the game to my friend and it played the same on his Nintendo as it did on mine. I told him that when I first played it, it was fully functional, but the second time I played it, the game changed entirely, and then I have no idea how it could even happen. He told me that it might have been some kind of hack game. He said that he would dump the ROM for me. After dumping the ROM, it worked just like it did in a emulator as it did on both my NES and his NES. He said that he would check the contents of the ROM and call me when he was done. I went back home feeling frightened about the whole situation. He called me about an hour later. He told me that it was the original ROM of Super Mario Bros. And that some software he used could prove that. He said that it looked like a complete hack of Super Mario Bros. It looked exactly like somebody took the original ROM and modded it. But he told me that there was absolutely no code in the game that could change the ROM contents. When I told him, the game played normally the first time. How could the game change itself? He responded to me in a stern voice, "Don't pirate games. I wouldn't steal from you." And he hung up. At that moment, I knew what happened. I figured out the mystery. I knew he laughed at how scared I was for some reason. My friend found out that I pirated video game ROMs somehow, so he made a hack game to warn me to never pirate game ROMs again. Ironically, this happened when I just found out that pirating video games was illegal, but I'm sure that had no relation to what he did. He got the original Super Mario Bros. ROM to make it into the weird game I played. He put it on a cartridge. Then overnight, he swapped out my cartridge with his. It was genius. It was a dark but hilarious prank. After realizing that, I went back to his house and said to him, "You're the one who made that hack game, aren't you?" He denied ever making it. And to this day, he still denies ever making a hack game at all. Scary. No matter how much I trick him and convince him to tell me the truth, he just wouldn't. He had just started getting angry at me for asking about so much. My friend isn't a constant, compulsive liar, but when he has to tell a lie, he does very well at it. Thing is, he didn't have to tell a lie, even if he did make the game. I still want to have pirated NES ROMs again. Anyway, I knew this was just a prank of his, and to this very day, he still denies ever making the hack. I got the ROM file off his computer and put it on the internet for you guys to download. But don't download it without owning the original copy of Super Mario Bros. Remember, don't pirate games. I wouldn't steal from you. So that was Super Mario Bros. 0, and my final thoughts on it. It's an alright creepypasta, you know. At least the positives is that there's no like ridiculous hyper-realistic blood and some typical cliches, in these gaming creepypastas, but the ending is kind of hilarious, because it's just a prank, the whole that whole ROM hack of Super Mario Brothers the original Super Mario Brothers is just a prank from the main character's friend. So yeah. Also, I'm just curious about this, like what this think about like playing this ROM hack version of Super Mario Brothers if I ever get my own computer someday. So anyhow, I don't have anything else to say about this creepypasta. It's alright, nothing special. At least the only positive for this story is there's no hyper realistic blood stuff in it, which can be pretty cliche as heck. So yeah. So hope you enjoyed this video and like and comment this video and subscribe for more content. So this is Mr. Fetty here, and I'm wahooing out. Wahoo!